She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show, a show that is here every day. Actually, radio and television 6 days a week, 7 days a week. You can catch this on the website, DaniJohnson.com, where we tackle daily topics concerning your success. I know you desire to be successful, and there's so much stuff that's out there, all kinds of experts who are feeding you content that, well, sometimes is just a bunch of rubbish, and I'm sure you know that. There is largely an attitude out there that, if you want to be successful, you try to win the lottery, you hope to kiss a prince, and hope to kiss a frog and it turns into a princess or a prince, that marrying the right person is the answer for your success, finding the right business, finding the right job. And it pretty much puts most of us out there on some search for something that absolutely doesn't exist. So here on the Dani Johnson Show, we redefine success. You have a destiny, friend, and you know you do. It's calling out to you. And that destiny has a path, and it's a path that filled with failures as well as successes and hopefully lessons that you're pulling from those things. Well, today we're going to look at how the world sees men. Predominantly, we're going to look at how the United States of America views men, because that's the majority of the listeners on our show. And do we have the right approach concerning men? What is our definition of a real man? And this is the time where the ladies are actually going to get the opportunity for us to shut up and listen. And this is going to be the opportunity for the guys actually to control the microphone and for them to get their opportunity to say, this is what I believe a real man is. And this is what I wish women would understand about me, the man. So I think we have a chance to learn some great things today. And you might be thinking, well, Dani, what does that have to do with my success? It has everything to do with your success. Let me tell you why. I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people over the last couple of decades, and as a person who has focused on helping other people to succeed, half of my database is men, half of my database is women. And what I have noticed is that when people have a false image, a false expectation about the opposite gender, it creates all kinds of problems in their business and their career, definitely their finances, and absolutely in the home. And so to me, I believe that success is supposed to be holistic. It's supposed to be whole, all areas of your life. And there's sometimes when all areas at the same time just seem to be singing hallelujah. And there's other times where it seems to be singing a horror film soundtrack, right? Maybe this horror film soundtrack is happening in your relationship with your teenager or your toddler or your husband or your wife, or it might be happening at work with somebody in your management team. Or the general populace, you're not being able to get new customers. The bottom line is if you carry improper views or wrong expectations concerning men, this largely hurts your earning potential. It really does. If you're a guy or a girl and you have got some deep-seated, rooted issues concerning men, maybe you were abandoned by your father. Maybe you were beaten like I was by who you thought was your father. I found out when I was nearly 18 that the man that raised me wasn't even my dad. I guess you could still call him dad, and I did call him dad, but that he wasn't even my biological father. I was lied to my whole life. And that man emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, sexually, and physically abused me. And so obviously my idea about men was not a good one. I did not trust them. I didn't think I needed them. To me, my life would be so much easier without a man. I certainly believe that all men were the same, as my mother would actually say to me, and that they only wanted one thing. So I had a really bad view about men, and I had just broken, terrible relationships with men as a direct result. I found like I couldn't work with them. I had a hard time learning from them. And then there was another season of my life where I was like looking and hoping and searching for the man who would actually be a good guy. And yeah, it came up dry in lots of cases in that way. And then I came to a place where even idolizing them. So our childhoods and our experiences in those early developmental years have a lot to do with how we see men and even how men see themselves. And we live in this culture, especially the post-feminist culture that has told all of us women that we are as strong as them, that we don't need them, they're nothing but a sperm donor. And I have to tell you, I am 100% against that kind of a mindset. You can call me a right-winged, conservative if you'd like, whatever, call me whatever you like. But I challenge you today that I want you to look at what is your perspective on men. Do you understand what a real man is? Do I understand what a real man is? I really don't. I actually want to learn. I've kind of been on this quest for the last few years of really wanting to learn. And I think the best people to learn from is from men, to ask them about what they feel that they are, to kind of get inside of their heads and try to understand where they're coming from. Because newsflash, my friend, we are all different. And guess what? We're not getting out of this life without living with them, period. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're still going to have to encounter men. And I know men that don't trust men. I know men that don't like to be around men. I know those men. And I know men who are trying not to be like the man in which raised them, which also then turns into can be a disaster on another side of the coin. And so we're going to uncover that today, and we're going to kind of define, if you will, or redefine, reshift a perspective, because it really does fit into whether or not you succeed. Because men are people, women are people. Money comes from men and women. And if we're not good at working with them, we're not good at pulling the best out of them, if we're not good at being able to work in harmony with them, understanding them, instead of assuming foolishly and coming up with our own conclusions that are rooted in what? Some man-hater that gave you an opinion, or the popular television and all the commercials that are out there that are ridiculous. Come on now. Look at the two sides of the spectrum that we see even through the media. Come on, I'm sure you saw a commercial even yesterday, or maybe even right before this show was airing on television, that you probably saw the commercial. Why is it that in the commercials, the women are always the superhero and the guy is always the lazy, bloated fool who isn't taking care of himself or anyone else? How come there's always a big question mark over his head, and that he's the idiot, and he's slow, and he's like not up to speed at all, and he's just some video gaming, junk food eating, barbecued chicken, whatever, bloated codfish. I mean, that's really how our commercials are selling men to us wives, to the men, and to our children. And then let's go to the other extreme. You got Dennis Craig. Is that his name? Daniel Craig, right? 007, the most recent no, not the most recent, but the one before the last. But there's a 007. And okay, so what is that picture of men? Oh, okay, well, he's perfectly fit. He doesn't ever eat. He never sleeps. He can be bombed. He can be shot out. He can jump out of a 12-story building and still run and put a tuxedo on and still look great and romance some chick. Really? I mean, these are the two pictures that are being force-fed to the women, to the men, and to the children. And if you think that the media doesn't have powerful imaging and messaging, and it isn't making a difference in our culture, you got a new thing coming to you, friend. We are all programmed by the media. Every one of us are being programmed by what they are feeding us, and they're telling us how we should view men. And if you haven't watched radio or television, if you haven't watched television or listened to the radio, then it could be that you've got music on your smartphone or whatever your device is that you listen to music. Listen to the lyrics and tell me what the lyrics are saying about men, right? If it's women singing about men, man, she's using him. She's using him for money. She's a gold digger, right? She's looking for gold in him. She's using this guy and then that guy and then another guy, okay? Or again, it's a guy, especially the country western singing stuff. Man, I mean, just think about the words that you are allowing to go into your head, because garbage in, garbage out, and largely our opinion concerning about men has come from what other people have told us. And in some small cases, it's what we have personally experienced. So if it's like me, that I experienced a bad childhood with my stepfather. And so that was a bad example of somebody abusing his authority and crossing every boundary line that should be there and not protecting his family, but abusing his family. Okay, so then you take that scenario and now you plug me into movies. Now you plug me into music. Now you plug me into books. Now you plug me into posters. Now you plug me into all of the media and all the messaging and imaging that's going to my ears and my eyes. And now it's just feeding even more my bad perspective on men. And I believe that largely in our country, we have been completely programmed to hate men. I do. We've been programmed to see that we don't need them. They're nothing but sperm donors. Think about how many children have been born. In fact, my sister, Anyway, I've got somebody in my family that went to a sperm clinic and, they've got 2 kids. They're twin boys, and these kids came from a sperm donor. We don't know who the sperm donor is. We don't know anything about that sperm donor. They bought the sperm. They did the thing, and bam, here came 2 twin boys. They were just at my house recently. So do you understand? We have definitely sent a message out there. And I got to tell you, I was guilty of all those messages even coming out of my mouth to my husband in our early days. In our early days, I was terribly abusive with my mouth. And right when I got pregnant out of wedlock with him, I told him, I said, hey, thanks for the sperm. You have no responsibility over this child at all. I do not need a father for this child. This child doesn't need a father. Thanks a lot. But you have no financial responsibilities here. I do not need any help from you. I don't feel the responsibility that somehow you have to be a father to this child. I got it covered. I don't need it. That's exactly what I told my husband before he was my husband, when he was my boyfriend. And for like 2 years, this is what I told him, that we don't need it. And I didn't think that was a harmful, terrible thing to say him, but it was actually very emasculating, and I didn't even realize it. Again, I was a young kid who had that bad experience with my stepfather, abandoned by my biological father, who now we have an amazing relationship. It's been 27 years that we've had an amazing relationship. But at the same time, we have all of the movies, all of the sitcoms, all of the music, all the imagery, right? That just does nothing besides emasculate men. And I believe we have emasculated men. And then we have us women who, have been hurt by men, largely because we have provoked the hurt, largely because we walked into the relationship with all of our stupid baggage from our past, and we spoke that baggage out. We knew they were going to cheat. We knew we couldn't trust them. We knew they wouldn't provide. We knew that they would turn into the numbskull in which their mother said that they would be, and that mom had when she was married to the 4th guy that she was married to, right? So, this is just a disastrous mess. And so why do we want to redefine the imagery of mess in the mess of men right now? Why? I'm going to tell you. Because it really does affect your earning power in the marketplace. You got big barriers about men, you're going to hurt your potential in your career or your business. You need them. You absolutely need them. Okay? You got issues with men, it's going to hurt your relationship and your marriage. It's going to hurt the way you raise your kids. It's gonna rob you of something that you need if you're a woman and if you're a man, because men and women both have men issues. So let's define those issues and let's get over them today on the Dani Johnson Show.
What's holding you back from the life you wish you could have? Is it your job, your spouse, your upbringing, your skin color, your education, your economy? If you answered yes to any of these, you need to listen carefully right now.
Do you dream about feeling more confident, more beautiful, more powerful, but instead you're that girl that never learned to do their makeup and now you feel lost in a sea of YouTube makeup tutorials? Or you're that new mom that can't get enough sleep at night and just wants to feel pretty again? Or the busy professional that wants to magnetize brand new clients and get more respect in the office? From the boardroom to the bedroom, xmhbeauty.com will help you. Our company has a proven track record of making beauty available on any budget, from celebrities to girls just like you and me. Our live classes, step-by-step tutorials, and insider secrets will have you standing out from the crowd. Go to xmhbeauty.com/Dani today to get your free gift from us. That's xmhbeauty.com/DANI.
You would think this would get easier. It doesn't. My name is Mia, and this is my awesome husband, Tony Gray. We're both from Maryland. Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, we were beyond a mess. Probably an earthquake would be a better description. We were very young and married in high school. I was pregnant at 13. I was abandoned, abused, often turned to drugs and alcohol. And we just didn't know what to do. We knew how to put on a facade and come out before people. We worked long hours. He was never, ever home, and he was losing relationships with me and the kids. We were at the divorce attorney, ready just to quit. We didn't know a way out, and our debt, we just hung ourselves, it seems, every day, just going to work, spending, and then there was debt. We didn't know what to do. But after filing bankruptcy twice, you would think, well, you know what to do then. Well, we didn't. We kept making stupid decisions. And we were really just ready to quit. We were ready to give up. And we didn't see that there was any hope. I was actually depressed a whole lot. And since we got married so young, we wanted to be like the rest of our family and be divorced, because we were the only ones that were married for a long period of time. We lost several kids, but God blessed us with that. And after plugging in with DaniJohnson.com, life changed forevermore.
It's funny, I heard Danny say, talked about Donald Trump, and that was my way of life. He did it. He was a multi-millionaire. He filed bankruptcy multiple times, but I knew that wasn't the answer. I was working more hours, had a six-figure income, and found we were in more debt. But since plugging into War in Debt, in 36 months, we paid off $126,000. To me, it's all about giving back. And my wife has the biggest heart that I know, so it was her mission to not only get the information for us, but to share it in our community. So we had hundreds of people come to classes, but we had 92 people take action. And of those 92 people, in 34 months, they paid off $3.6 million.
Our marriage has been fully restored. Our children are absolutely amazing. They all own their own businesses. We raise 6 amazing kids every single day. And I can't tell you, without the DJU curriculum, without all of the products, we came at the beginning and we were piecemealing it, but that didn't work for us. You know how Danny says when you get the recipe, you need to get all the ingredients and not try to figure out, should I get the egg, should I get the milk? You just get it all and you follow directions. We follow directions and our life has changed forevermore, and we won't go back, we're just going ahead. So without further ado, help us bring back to the stage America's favorite millionaire, Miss Dani Johnson.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your freedom, your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Now, more of the Dani Johnson Show.
Men aren't necessities. They are luxuries. That's a quote from Cher. Can you believe that an entire generation of people actually believe that nonsense? Wow. I mean, that just shocks me that somebody could boldly just get up and say something like that. And again, you've got to look at the fruit of the woman's life. Broken relationships. Do you think it might have been because she thinks that men are not necessities, but they are actually just luxuries? Have some more plastic surgery, but this time on your brain, woman. Gosh, man, this really upsets me. I am passionate about men being able to be men. And I believe that you and I need to learn from the men. We need to hear from them. We need to hear, from a man's perspective, what is a real man? So we're taking calls live right now, 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. We want the women to listen and learn, and we want the men to have the opportunity to speak. The microphone is yours. I'm going to line 1. I've got Brad from Victoria, Canada. Brad, welcome to the show. What is a real man in your perspective?
Good morning, ma'am. A real man. I don't think you asked an easy question, but I think a real man has certain roles in the home and in society, and I really think that in this day and age, we're not allowed to have those roles. Like,
What would you say those roles are, and why do you feel like you're not allowed to?
I believe one of those roles is the breadwinner, the protector of the home, especially, and I feel in a lot of cases that's a role that women have kind of moved into and taken over, and that's how we've been taught. Men are taught now that when a woman puts her foot down, that's the end of it. Not the man doesn't really get to lead.
Right. So do you feel that the women working that has that's a bad thing, that women actually are having jobs and contributing to the household, that's a bad thing?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I know that when I talk with the woman I love about it, like, I find that the most important thing is that I am providing. I'm paying the bills. I'm making sure there's food on the table. You know, she can make as much. If she makes $1 million a year, that's totally cool, as long as the money that I bring in, or whatever percentage that is providing for the home.
Yeah.
That's an amount of protection that I'm providing for the home.
Right.
I think it's wonderful that women are now in the workplace. I don't think it's wonderful how, in a lot of cases, the mindset that is developed from powerful jobs that women have, they bring back into the home and bring that power back into the home.
Meaning, like, she's leading in the marketplace, she's leading in her job, and that a lot of women have a hard time then coming under, right, her husband when she gets into the home. So she's still bringing that kind of brute strength, calling the shots, right? Bossing everybody around at the office and being the decision maker in her business or in her career or whatever. And then she comes home and now has to, report basically to her boss, which is her husband. And so you're saying that you have found that women have a hard time doing that. They have a hard time, changing roles. You know what I mean? From leader out here to, co-lead here. And now, your husband is the final say. He's the final decision maker. He's the leader of the household. And yes, she can come alongside and help lead, but he's the first lead. And she's that second position. So is that what you're saying, is that women just don't seem to want to take the second position in the home anymore?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
In a marriage, I feel like it should be two people serving each other, and I think our society has trained us away from that. We've entered into relationships where now it is the man's job to serve his wife, and I absolutely believe in serving your wife, but I think we've taken it a little too far. I grew up in a home where mom ran the house. And I know when we had conversations about it, if my dad put his foot down, they said that was the end of it, but I never saw that.
Right.
And I don't believe that's the right way to go about it.
So do you feel like your dad was not the head of the house?
Yes. I mean, my dad's the most amazing man, one of the most amazing men I know. I'm not discounting him at all, but I didn't really get to
see that leadership because your mom was so strong and your mom was the more dominant personality in the household. And yeah. Did your mom tell your father what to do? Did she demean him, in the home? Put him down, sarcastic in front of you guys with him?
Yep.
Yeah. That's incredibly demeaning. Yeah. That's incredibly demeaning. And I believe that the wives, and again, I've done it, lots of women have done it, it's wrong, but I think we're supposed to encourage and edify and honor instead of demean and be nasty. This is Dani Johnson. We're going to continue to hear from the men right after this.
Stay tuned for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Prior to getting started with DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, we were spending absolutely every dime that we made. We were really struggling financially. Since plugging in to First Steps to Success just 4 months ago, we started a brand new business that is doing very, very well. We've paid off $4,500 in debt, but the most important thing is my relationship with my husband has improved like dramatically. I mean, we have so much more fun together. You know, I don't know about you, maybe your finances, you're doing great, maybe you're debt-free, maybe your relationships with your spouse, with your family are great. But if not, if you have some areas in your life that feel a little out of control or there's things that you need to work on, I highly recommend getting to First Steps to Success as soon as you can.
Prior to being dragged out to First Steps to Success, I was hopeless. I had no point to life. It was a day-to-day existence, working a job I despised for people I didn't respect. Deeper and deeper debt every year. You just couldn't get on top of it. I just had no hopes or dreams, none at all, and there was no point to life. But since coming out, we paid off $280,000 worth of debt, married the woman of my dreams. I came to love my job and the people I work for. I have all kinds of hopes and dreams. I get to watch them happen every day. I don't know what your life is like, you know. There's probably tons of hope. You probably know why you live and you got places you're going, but if you don't, you need to sign up for First Steps to Success. You go to DaniJohnson.com and you click on it and be here, because your life will not be the same if you do.
Prior to First Steps to Success, I was drowning in debt. I was terrified of my bills, and I wanted to travel, but I never had the money. And since coming to First Steps to Success, in the last 14 months, I've paid off over $18,000 in debt. I've gone on 6 vacations, and I'm not terrified of my bills anymore. So if you want to learn some proven strategies to really learn how to connect with people, take your life to the next level, all while having a total blast, you need to get registered for the next First Steps to Success today.
Prior to coming to First Step to Success, we were totally struggling, totally under the weight of $640,000 worth of debt, making $20,000 a month, but living paycheck to paycheck. So when we came here and I realized that it takes a totally different skill set to keep money, to create wealth than it is to make money, I have totally turned around our lifestyle. We have paid off $640,000 worth of debt in 2 years. We are debt-free as of June of 2013. I don't know where you're at. You might have all your finances in order. You might have a wonderful life. Your marriage might be all perfect and your kids are behaving. But if not, if one of those things is lacking, you gotta get here. Book your next event. You need to be here. You will not regret it.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
Men often say, I wish women knew how we feel. My husband has said that to me. Actually, I wish you just understood how I think. You're missing it, Dani. Although that was a painful statement, the fact is it was true. And man, I'm telling you, I've been on a quest for the last several years. I want to learn. I want to understand how you think. So today's show, in redefining success in business and in life, we are allowing the mic to be controlled by the men. And men are going to tell us from their perspective, what are the struggles they're facing in today's society? How do they feel they are supposed to be as a man from their perspective? What do we feel we've lost as men in today's culture, and how are we going to get it back? Going over to the phones, we have line 5, Randy from Salt Lake City, Utah. Randy, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani. How are you doing?
Good to have you here. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, you bet. You bet. When I think of a real man, and again, I'll just fall on the way I perceive myself. I'm accountable. I feel that I'm a role model, not only for my family, but what I do at work and the leadership. I've always seemed to have been in a leadership position at work, and I want to carry that leadership, stay focused, be accountable. You know, if I make a promise, I keep it.
Yeah.
And say for my family, I'll go back to the family, you know, it's how I've treated and respected my wife for the past 37 years is what my children see.
Yep.
And I hear a lot from my daughters saying, wow, Dad, I hope I find a man just like you. And, you know, you love that. I mean, my daughters are 30 and 32, and we still talk almost daily.
Wow.
At that point.
Wow.
So, yeah, the real man is definitely a role model for the family.
Yep. So what would you say has really hurt men in today's world?
Just the perception that we keep hearing on TV and in media.
And what is that perception from your perspective?
I've never let it affect me that, you know, that we're, you know, the women are, you know, we're second citizens, or that, you know, the woman shouldn't be just at home raising children. They should be running companies, which I agree with. That, you know, I've worked for some amazing women in my career, but I've never let the perceptions even affect me or bother me. I've worked for women before and had a great working relationship. I worked for a lot of men as well.
Randy, where did you get this it sounds like you respect women. Where did you get that from? Because that is not a very common perspective. Something I love about the Jewish culture is they have a very healthy respect for women. In fact, every Friday night on Shabbat, the men sing over their wives and the mothers of the household Proverbs 31. This is the perspective of women that they have. They celebrate women. They love women. They honor women. They respect women. It's an amazing culture that when I found that was totally different than I thought because of it being Middle Eastern. I thought it was totally different. But where did you, Randy, get this kind of an idea of respecting women? Because even you said, hey, yeah, women can run companies. I respect them. I've worked for some great women. Where did you get this?
Probably from my upbringing. I would say my mom as well. I heard earlier on callers that the mom was kind of the head of the family. Mom was there all the time. Dad worked. So, yeah, the perception was that Mom pretty well ran the family. But, no, my dad was a great leader himself and role model. But I would say just from my upbringing.
So you had a good relationship with your mom?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Very good relationship.
And she taught you to respect women?
Yes. And I have that total respect for my wife as well. And it goes both ways.
Versus being intimidated by women, threatened by women, or competing with your wife, you respect her and therefore she respects you.
Yes.
That's
and
awesome.
Same way in the workplace.
Same way in the workplace, yeah. Do you feel like this has helped you in the workplace at all? Because, you know, some people are like, yeah, it doesn't matter what I think about women. No, it really does matter what you think about women. And it really matters what we think about men. Because there are far more many women in the workplace today than ever, right? And if we've got issues, if a man has an issue with women, he's not going to do well in the workplace. If a woman has issues with men, she's not going to do well in the workplace. So it actually hurts our financial life when we've got that wrong perspective. And so do you feel like your respect for women has helped in the workplace?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because it's, you know, they are in that position for a reason. And most of them are very, very capable to be good leaders. And I've learned from them as well. And they also respected my position as their subordinate.
Wow.
And maybe I was lucky with the ladies. I think my first boss was a lady.
Wow.
In the aerospace industry.
Wow. Now that's rare. Right? Like, what are the odds that you end up with a woman in the aerospace industry as your first boss? That's like, what? But thank God for your mother, right? Thank God for your mother that she raised you to be a man who is secure in his own skin. That you did not feel put down because you had a female that was your boss. You know, you're a rare man. I would have to agree with your daughters. They should marry someone like you.
Thank you.
They really should. Thanks so much, Randy, for contributing on today's show. We really appreciate your perspective and what you just shared. It inspires. It absolutely inspires me. Okay, we got Bryan from Sacramento. Bryan, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. What's your perspective on today's topic?
My perspective is that a real man is steady, safe, and gentle, but assertive, a warrior, dynamic, but very encouraging, and pulls out the best from his family and allows women to be themselves and to feel safe doing so, and cultivates and draws out the natural gifts that the family members and people in their lives have.
Yeah.
They elevate others.
Yeah.
That's the nature of men, is to husband by being, even if they're not a husband, but to be a husband of the relationships in their life.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, because Bryan, actually what you just described is a leader. You described a leader. And that's exactly what men are born to be. They are born to lead. That is not to say that women cannot lead, but that is to say that men, when they were knitted together in their mother's womb, they were knitted with leadership in mind. And everything you just described is excellent leadership. What do you feel, Bryan, is the biggest inhibitor to a man's leadership role?
The biggest inhibitor to a man's leadership role is not receiving those things himself. When someone appears to be strong and assertive and dynamic, they really need a lot of encouragement and affirmation, recognition and love and honor, and all the things that it kind of looks like they don't really have much use for. But that is the fuel that burns the fire hotter, like that kerosene you talked about.
Yeah.
That draws the best out of them.
So wait a minute, Bryan. So you're saying if a man works for a strong, powerful woman or is married to a strong, powerful woman, that woman needs to really put a focus on encouraging and affirming that man, the men that are in her life.
Yep.
Have you encountered a lot of women that are like that, or have you encountered women that are the opposite of that?
Well, women who are like that are naturally rare. Mm-hmm. I think that most women can be like that, but our culture has something of a hidden agenda to women and men at odds with each other. So women are encouraged by everything around them to put men down, and men are encouraged by everything around them to ignore and put women down.
Yep. Yep.
Unfortunately. I have some great examples of those kind of women in my life. I've worked with fairly strong women who were not very well. And
Bryan, I'm so sorry. Your phone is cutting out right now. Terrible.
No, I apologize.
There we go. It's back. Say it again. That you've worked with some strong, powerful women.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of women, and some are strong and, well, a lot of powerful women, and some are encouraging and some are not. And the ones who do the best are the encouragers. And it's not obvious. You don't see it right away. Well, it's not obvious that if you want a man to be the best, you would give him what he doesn't look like he needs.
Right. Wow. This is really so helpful. Actually, it's making me think in terms of, right here in my office. Obviously, I run a company and I have a lot of men on our staff. A lot. It's actually, I think, almost mostly men that's in our office. And that helps me to focus a little bit better. That I probably need to be encouraging the men that I work with every day more so because of my personality, right? Because of what my positioning, and I probably need to focus a bit more on encouraging these guys a whole lot more. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more incredibly helpful tips from the men today, right after this.
Hey, have you done a favor for your best friend yet? Then do it now. Share this program with them. The Dani Johnson Show, helping people just like you make life more enjoyable and rewarding. The Dani Johnson Show.
My name's Erin Hudson, and I'm from Huntington Beach, California. You know, I just have to share with you, I never thought I'd be up here in a million years. And I have to tell you, my story is not my story. My story is to help each one of you, to give you a little bit more hope. And as I share with you my story, I apologize up front. I get really emotional. We have been through hell and back. And I share this with you again to really give you hope, okay? Prior to coming to First Steps, we had filed for bankruptcy in 2010. I was a broken woman. My marriage was in a downward spiral. My kids were completely out of control. My business ruled my life night and day. And then I found Dani Johnson. Since attending First Steps to Success in July of 2012, my marriage has been restored. My kids are now the most respectable, loving children to one another and to their parents. We never traveled anywhere. We now travel around the world and have traveled with many of you that we consider close friends. We've gone to Belize the last 2 years, and I've been able to share with my children and show them how to serve others that are in more need than any of us happen to be. On top of that, our biggest accomplishment yet, I would have to say, is last month we paid off the last of our debt, and it was now we paid off in the last 2 years and 2 months, $892,000. Wait, hold on, and some cents. $892,522 of debt, and we are now officially business and personal debt free. I have to say, this core report that Dani's going to equip you with today is going to change you. You're going to become a phenomenal champion communicator. And just with what she's going to teach you this afternoon, we're projected to hit $1 million. And I know it's because of what she's going to teach you in this next portion. And without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce my mentor and coach, America's favorite millionaire, Dani Johnson.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Now, more of the Dani Johnson Show.
Are you a complaining nag? Are you one that puts men down? Whether you're a man or a woman, men need encouragement. They need someone to believe in them. They need somebody to stand with them. They need to know that somebody is on their side. But boy, do we live in a society that has said we're all against you. We don't need you as a father. We don't need you as a role model. We don't need you. I think there's some songs that have been written about this. And I'm telling you here on the Dani Johnson Show, Success Redefined, I'm telling you right now, you will fail with that attitude. You will fail. You'll have the most miserable relationships at work and at home. You'll have the most miserable relationships out in society. I was raised in a full-on feminist home. A bunch of single moms who hated men. Talk about programming. Me, as a young girl, hearing that good-for-nothing blankety-blankety blank, okay, from my grandmother throwing plates at my father's head, cussing him out, little 5'4" Italian woman, my father 6'10", 350 pounds, as he's running, ducking from the plates. Okay, good for nothing. You could just imagine. And then she would cuss in Italian. Terrible. But this is the generation that we live in. We are the fruit of that generation, and we are seeing the mess we have created. And if we want success, we've got to redefine it. Being a man hater as a man or a woman does not help your finances. No way. It does not help your relationships. And bottom line, friend, you got to swallow this big old fat horse pill. We are not getting out of this life without dealing with men. So we've opened up the mic to the men today for the last 2 hours of the Dani Johnson Show. We've heard things about women in the workplace concerning men, what the men need. I'm telling you great stuff, how a man sees himself, what he was made for, not from the woman's perspective, but for the man's perspective. I love learning from these guys. They're amazing. All right, we got Christopher from New Haven, Connecticut. Christopher, what's your perspective on what a real man is, and how can us women help you be that? Because we're supposed to be the helpers. What can we do to help you?
Thanks, Dani, so much for having me on the call. It's a privilege and honor. This is a subject matter that I'm real passionate about. I think in reference to myself, how a woman could honor me is just to understand and respect my natural differences of just being a man.
Tell me more about that. Tell me, get specific on that. How can I do that? Will you teach me how?
Well, just understanding the mechanics and just the internal mechanism of what's important to men, the protector and the provider mentality and the kind of core. And it also involves a lot of my own expressing. I have to be able to communicate the things that are important to me so that the person understands what's important and how to support me. Mm-hmm. But on the same note, it's having that understanding they can support me in order to give me that validation and give me that strength and that guidance, as well as I do the same for them. So that's why I feel like we're strong men and strong women can coexist. Because I kind of believe that men are in a way at fault for kind of the way things have happened. I think a lot of men are unaware of their place in society.
They are.
They've been kind of blindsided.
Totally.
By it.
Yep.
And we say society has kind of made man irrelevant. Well, like man made us irrelevant.
That's right.
Man's quest for technology replaced the strong, brute force strength of a man to do what we used to do. And technology has kind of replaced the need for us.
Yeah.
And so men are kind of doing what they've always done. They provide, and they focus so much on the providing and the protecting that they leave so many other aspects out that the woman kind of needs to step up, like you said, to fill in that role.
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of men who are being raised up without a strong father figure.
Yeah. And a mom who hates men.
Correct.
Yeah.
And also women or young girls who are being brought up without a father figure as well. It's not just
by a mom who hates men.
Right. Which is why you have, and I'm not saying this completely, but like why women want to be involved in combat arms roles in the military, and they kind of want there's something in them, almost like a masculine desire to fulfill that burning desire that typically men have.
Yep, that's true. That's very, very true. Thank you so much for helping me to understand that. You know what? I know for a lot of women, we have not understood his leadership. We have not understood his passion for providing and protecting. And very few women ever say, thank you, honey, for providing for our home. Very few women ever say, thank you, honey, for protecting our home. Thanks for thinking of those things. We just, again, we've been raised in a society that says we don't need him. So we don't even recognize or encourage or affirm his natural God-given abilities at all. That's huge for me, Christopher. I know what I got to do when I get home today.
In my marriage. That was huge in my marriage.
Yeah.
Like, having gone through like a lot of financial difficulties, it was only until the smoke started to clear and the understanding began between my wife and I that like we really clicked. Like it was the understanding and the respect of my role, and then my understanding and respect of her role, and we complemented each other perfectly.
Yeah.
And it just flourished how I thought about myself and where I my place was in society.
And so when husbands are going through a hard financial time, it's important for us wives to not just assume we have to go get another job and you're not making enough, so I'm going to help provide, but that we encourage our husbands to say, I still believe in you. I still believe in you, and this is going to work out, and I'm behind you, and I don't care if we live in a little 500 square foot little cabin. I'm still going to stand by you, and I know that we're going to get through this, versus the nagging broad saying, we can't afford this, we can't afford that, things are too tight, I wish I could buy the kids shoes, but I can't. I want to grab those women and smack them. They need a spanking. They seriously do. They need a freaking spanking. Oh my gosh, I've learned so much today. Thank you so much, Christopher. I've learned so much from everybody that's called in, and unfortunately, we've completely ran out of time. We have more people that we needed to hear from, but unfortunately, we've got 60 seconds left. Hey, if you have enjoyed today's show, please write us and tell us. And if you'd like to hear more programs like this, let us know. I know this. We've got to be an answer in this world that is doing everything they can to divide men and women. This racism of gender is completely rooted in ignorance, and it's rooted in hatred and malice. And we are picking it up and we're spoon feeding it to our kids. And so we have boys that don't understand what it's like to be a boy, what they're supposed to be when they grow up. They don't know that this natural tendency to want to protect, to provide, to slay that monster out there and to bring home the bacon. They don't know that because we have told them we don't need them. They're not necessary. And so in the Dani Johnson Show, we're about redefining success, telling the truth about success. And I'm telling you right now, you better deal with your man issues. If you're a man or a woman, you might have man issues. Deal with those man issues, because you will not reach the fullness of your earning potential, your business or career potential. You will not reach the level and heights of success that your destiny calls you to if you do not have a solid, good understanding. What is a real man? Deal with your heart issues from the things in your past, the men who have failed you, so that you can rise up and be a man or a woman that can lead other men properly without competing, without insecurities, but just strong. Let's be who we are and be the best at it. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue tomorrow with another show teaching you the way for success.
You've been listening to The Dani Johnson Show. It's our belief that you can live a better, healthier, happier life. All you need is a little encouragement. Get that and more on the next Dani Johnson Show.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
So I was born and raised in Ukraine. I moved here in 2001, very poor. All we had is $3,600, no English, nothing. We came here, Jewish service community paid for 6 months for our apartment. They gave us 6 months of food stamps. They paid for 6 months of our medical, and they said, go. So just because, and Andres will attest to that, we're very hungry in Ukraine and ex-Soviet Union countries. So when we see opportunity, we get really excited. And I saw opportunity in this wonderful country. So I opened my own business, and I became successful very fast, making between $20,000 to $30,000 every month. But the problem is that my character was not there yet. The wisdom of God was not there yet to support that type of income. So what we did with that money, like I was living paycheck to paycheck, being on welfare and being on food stamps, we were living paycheck to paycheck, now making $20,000 to $30,000 a month. I have my first truck that I could afford that I bought was Cadillac Escalade with 22-inch rims. Hey, free estimates, everybody. And I built a big house. It was a $750,000 house for my huge ego, and I was not ready for the season when it rains. So when one of my biggest clients was investigated by FBI because of his mortgage loans, all of a sudden my business dipped, and I was stressed out, working so many hours, trying to keep up with all this debt that I acquired. It was $640,000 worth of debt that we acquired. Patrick Clunan, who's been part of this group for probably the past, 10 years, he formed me in the gym. He told me how huge I was, and I said, I love you, man. And he told us about coming here. We were really, not trusty. That's how we are Ukrainians. But I did come, not even realizing that I'm in debt, that this is really bad because everybody around me, my pastor, everybody in church were all in debt. And I was just, my eyes were open. It was just incredible time of learning and realizing that I need to realign myself. And we have paid off $640,000 worth of debt in using War on Debt in 2 years. Not just using War on Debt, but being a part of a community that keeps us accountable. That's the key. There are a lot of good products out there. Somebody mentioned Dave Ramsey and this and that, but unless you guys know, being in all kinds of industries, unless there is somebody there holding your hand, keeping you accountable, it is very hard to get results. And that's what that War on Debt and this community did for us. We are debt-free as of June of 2013, and we have, after going through a teaching with Hans Johnson, Dani's husband, we acquired 11 rental properties. My sales went from $2 million a year to $3.5 million a year. And I'll just let my wife real quick tell you what happened with our family.
I would say that for myself and him, the number one thing above all the financial the knowledge that we gained here was when we did the GEMS course that you guys did this morning, and we didn't just do it once, we continued and continued to do it. It was such an eye-opener for our marriage. We came in with an okay and stable marriage. I don't know about you, but I don't know if I just want to settle for okay and stable. We were just kind of putting up with one another's differences. We just put up with one another as good Christians do, right? And not realizing that we could, like when I listened to his gems and the things about him, I no longer saw him as pushy or aggressive and overbearing. I began to see him as passionate and driven and hardworking and highly motivated. And he used to see me as kind of what's the unrealistic optimist, I guess, and in a little too optimistic for him. And then he began to see me as his encourager, as his bride who could think outside of the box and who could give him creative ideas. And so for us, it gave us a dynamic marriage where from okay and stable, we are now, I believe we can be unstoppable and do anything together. And though you have an opposite gem in your spouse, the neatest thing is you still have one vision. One vision. If you're united in Christ, you have one vision. And for us, our vision is the same. Our vision is building the kingdom of Christ. That's what we're called to do. We're called to be Christ's followers. And being okay and stable in our marriage was not good enough. It was not good enough. God says, I have more for you guys. And it has nothing really to do with the money. It's more what we can do with that money and how we've been able to help orphans and been bringing them into our homes to live with us, and then been able to find them adoptive families, and it's just, we've been able to have more fun. We've been able to travel more. We've been on the same page now, even though we're super opposite, and it's been such a great thing. So I just want to encourage you too, if you have a spouse that is not here and you are not on the same page yet with that spouse, know that I am praying for you. There's some specific ones of you that I've been praying for because I know it's in your heart to have your spouse on the same page. Just know that you just keep going, don't quit, keep loving them. Also, we've just been doing the grooming the next generation classes in our church, which is a great tool to expose all this if you have teams.
So please allow me to introduce my America's favorite millionaire and my personal mentor and coach, Dani Johnson.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson YouTube channel. We're super excited to have you here. And every single week, we're gonna make sure that you get awesome videos for your business, career, making more money, saving money, annihilating your debt, as well as helping you to handle those really tough problems that you have with people at home, as well as at work. and taking those really good relationships you already have and causing them to flourish and grow. All you have to do is click that subscribe button right down here. Click that and you'll be subscribed to an amazing community of people, as well as some great videos that will help to improve your life. Thanks so much for being here. Subscribe now would be good. Just click it. I know you can see it. It's somewhere down here. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.